right. Well, good. Friday evening, South Carolina Weather Watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Friday evening going into your future. And we have a lot of things to go on and talk about for tonight. Already, as you can see by the screen, the main topic for tonight being the flooding and how another round of storms is already on the horizon. We're looking at another round of potential, maybe severe weather and flash flooding that could take place going on into next week. But we're also going to continue to talk about the rainfall and the flooding that we are currently receiving, as some areas have already received a couple of inches of rainfall already as we speak. So we have a lot to go on and talk about. But first, before we get into any of that, first off, let's give a huge round of applause to everyone for making it through this long week that was this work week. Yes, a huge round of applause for everybody. We finally made it to the weekend, and now we can go in and relax until, obviously, next Monday comes around. But that's number one. Number two, what's on tap for tonight? Flood watch is in effect for a good amount of South Carolina. Number one. Number two, clouds and rains keep highs near or maybe even below normal. Return to a more typical midsummer weather pattern as we move Sunday through Tuesday, and another cold front may approach mid next week. So we are watching for a good storm system that may try to approach next week. That's the main topic. But also, we're going to be talking about the in betweens. We're going to be talking about the even after that portion. All of that's going to get covered. So starting off, so we don't waste any time, what's currently going on? Well, as we look at the radar right now, we have some rainfall going on throughout the low country, throughout the PD, the Grand Strand areas. But one thing that I will say is we do have a flash flood warning right now, 1 to 3 inches in about an hour and 30 minutes over there inside of Yemassee, South Carolina, going near Early Branch, McPhersonville, Varnville, South Carolina. And this is radar engage indicated. And it says right now, or just radar indicated, as much to 2 to 3 inches have already fallen. An additional 1 to 3 inches of rainfall could fall throughout the next hour or the next 2 hours, honestly, at this point, and some change. And so torrential downpours is definitely going on throughout these areas. Again, that's Yemassee, Varnville, Early Branch, Cummings, McPhersonville, Grays, and some other areas as well. But you're not seeing too much rainfall up in the upstate. I mean, you see some showers going on. You see some going on in the Midlands as well, and even over here in the Grand Strand. But the majority of the rainfall has been in the Low Country. The Low Country has been benefiting probably the most from this rainfall activity. Rather it be from, again, the South Carolina, Georgia coast, all the way over to Berkeley and Charleston County. They've been benefiting for the majority of this event. Now, we do have a downpour that's moving its way over towards the east, towards Andrews. Georgetown may be something to talk about in the future, Garden City Beach as well. But for right now, we still are looking at the low country getting the majority of the rainfall here throughout the state. But what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather-wise? Well, currently, we do have some rainfall in North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, under a flash flood warning right now. We have some rainfall in Alabama, Florida, even Louisiana. We even have some more severe weather in New Mexico, Texas, getting in on some severe weather over here in Utah, Nevada, California. And then we have some severe weather going on over here with even that's a destructive severe thunderstorm warning over here that is for 80-mile-per-hour winds that's moving through North Dakota, as another tornado warning was just issued over here. We have, I think, like 3 tornado warnings over inside of Minnesota right now as we speak. So good amount of severe weather going on right now. Now, in terms of cloud cover obviously being all over us, no matter if you're from the upstate to the low country, you're looking at cloud cover right now. And if we go in and take a look at our cloud cover for the future, we move this over into tonight, going over into tomorrow morning and even tomorrow afternoon. We do see a little bit of a break in the clouds as we move maybe in the evening hours, but main thing is that cloud cover does start to try and go away as we get into Saturday night. Watch as we go into Sunday. Sunday comes along, and we actually see some good breaks. In fact, most of the state may even be mostly clear as we move into Sunday morning, but Sunday afternoon comes along. More cloud cover seems to kind of build its way back in, but it does look like a break from the clouds could be coming in as we go later on into Sunday morning. Now, in terms of current temperatures, we're talking about 81 in Somerville, 84 in Charleston, even 85 in Beaufort, 80 in Orangeburg and Georgetown, 80 Myrtle Beach, and 79 in Conway, 77 Florence, and 78 in Columbia, 71 in Greenville, Spartanburg, even 72 in Gaffney, 73 York, Rock Hill, 72 in Clemson. Now, for our air quality for tonight, it does look like that the majority of us are inside of the good category. A couple of us are inside the moderate category, like Florence up there, down on 95. And over there in downtown Charleston, North Charleston, moving over into the western areas of Charleston and North Charleston, receiving that moderate risk of air quality for tonight here. And so if you're in the yellow areas, just make sure that you're paying attention for the air quality for tonight, making sure it doesn't get too bad here. Now, as we go on and give you an update like we have been every day on the Horse Island wildfire. Now it has officially reached, because remember we were at 40% contained, it is officially at 50% contained. Yes, firefighters have contained 50% of the Horse Island fire over there near Schuylerville in Berkeley County. Good sign, good sign, good sign. And, also another piece of good news, there's some rainfall that's currently moving its way over towards the Schuylerville area. So that could also help out, as we have rainfall going through Moncks Corner, going through Panopolis, and about to move its way east into Jamestown, into that area, the Francis Marion National Forest area. So we are seeing some rainfall that's going to try and move its way over. And, some rainfall could have fallen there earlier. But for right now, it does look like that there is some rainfall that's moving its way over as we speak. Now, for low temperatures for tonight, we're talking about 68 in Greenville, 67 in Spartanburg, even 72 in Columbia, 73 Orangeburg, and 74 in Moncks Corner, 79 Charleston, and 75 in Georgetown, 77 Myrtle Beach, and 81 in Hilton Head Island. Now, as you go into your high temperatures for tomorrow, 86 Greenville, Spartanburg, even 89 in Columbia, 90 Aiken and Orangeburg, even 89 in Moncks Corner, 91 in Charleston, 94 in Hilton Head Island, 88 in Georgetown, and 85 in Myrtle Beach. Heat index values as we move over into tomorrow for our high temperatures. I mean, we're looking at 105 in Charleston, 109 in Hilton Head Island. So it doesn't really matter that, some cloud cover may try to come in for a couple of these areas. A couple of these areas could still potentially reach heat index values of close to 110. Now, look in the upstate, only 91, 92 in the northern PD areas, 100 in Columbia. So, it's still going to feel pretty hot. Still is going to feel pretty hot, but those high temperatures, for a lot of us is definitely a lot lower than what we have been seeing, and this is definitely cooler than what we have all been experiencing over the past couple of days or so. Now, as we go in and look and see how much rainfall we could potentially see over the next 24 hours, one thing that you do notice immediately is the amount of rainfall over there in the eastern parts. Look in Georgetown, look in Myrtle Beach. You see maybe an inch to maybe even an inch and a half over there inside of Myrtle Beach and Georgetown. Maybe even some areas may also get around an inch and a half to 2 inches of rainfall over the next 24 hours. So we are definitely going to be watching for that eastern area because the low country could have had their day today. But like I said, the PD area and the Grand Strand areas may have their day tomorrow. Look at the upstate, though. Look at the Midlands. 1/10 of an inch to a quarter of an inch over in Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson. 1/100 of an inch to a 1/10 of an inch over there in Barnwell. 1/10 of an inch to a quarter of an inch in Hilton Head Island. 1/2 an inch to an inch in Charleston, Moncks Corner, Kingstree, Florence, Cheraw. And so this is all the totals that we're seeing. And you can see that eastern bias in terms of where that rainfall is going to be at over the next 24 hours. Now, according to the SPC outlook, we still technically have a slight risk of, a marginal risk of severe weather for tonight. And we do have a special weather statement for 50-mile-per-hour winds about to move through Earnhardt and Lodge inside of South Carolina. And that's going to move its way down towards the south and east, or more east-southeast, kind of moving its way towards Smokes and the in between, or kind of getting close to I-95 in between Grover and Walterboro, somewhere around there. Could be there shortly. But we still are seeing some storms with some gusty winds in it. Now, we also saw a severe thunderstorm warning earlier, 60-mile-per-hour winds over there towards that South Carolina and Georgia border in the Low Country. And so I definitely say that, this is verified so far. We just got to wait and see what this storm over here does near these smokes in the Earnhardt and the Lodge areas. Now, tomorrow, thunderstorms again are possible no matter where you are. Also, same thing for tonight, no matter where you are. Thunderstorms are possible. Tomorrow, same thing. And Sunday, same thing. Thunderstorms are possible no matter where you are. But now let's take a look at next week. And so this is kind of where we start talking about the next storm system and where the title comes in. Look at Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. We have a slight risk of severe weather over here inside of the upstate and the northern PD areas. And so this is for, most likely, if I was to guess, probably damaging winds once again. But, we'll get more closer and closer and closer towards it. But we're looking right now, and we see that only a little bit of the northern parts of the state towards that North Carolina border is kind of in that risk zone right now. It looks like that the majority of us are not in it right now. Things will change. We saw how Wednesday's event played out of, this week here, Wednesday. And you remember how Wednesday had a lot of the state included inside of a day 4 risk of severe weather. And next thing you know, on the day Wednesday came around, everybody was, in a margin risk, maybe a couple of areas in a slight risk, but for the most part, most of us was in a margin risk. So this could downtrend the same thing as Wednesday, or it could uptrend, We're just going to have to wait and see what happens as we get closer and closer into the future. Now, excessive rainfall-wise, obviously we know that moderate risk of excessive rainfall over here in the eastern low country areas to the Midlands, all the way over into the PD and the Grand Strand areas. And obviously, I know, I've already been seeing some people complain about it online, saying that, there's a lot of people inside of the red moderate risk that, didn't really get too much rainfall about it at all. And so, that's just, honestly, that's just how the weather is. I mean, you can't, the risk is there, the model showed it, and obviously the storms just did not want to cooperate at that time. So, if you were in the red zone and you're not seeing a whole bunch of rainfall, number one, you have all the way through tonight as well, but also, models did change, and obviously it didn't happen exactly as planned. Like, honestly, from looking at the models earlier, I believe a lot of people thought that the Midlands would get a lot more rainfall than they originally did, but obviously, for a lot of people, that was not the case. Now, slight risk does surround it, going into areas like Beaufort, going into Florence, going over into the upstate, and then over here near Gaffney, going over into York, Taylor Cay, Fort Mill. These areas also have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall for tonight. Now, tomorrow, slight risk of excessive rainfall over here from Bennettsville down through Florence, down through Sumter, Manning, and all the way throughout the low country areas once again, going throughout the Grand Strand. Marginal risk for everybody else. That's a 5%. The 15% is the yellow there. And then Sunday we're good, Monday we're good, Tuesday we are good. So really only tonight and tomorrow is the last 2 days of flash flooding that we have until we move over into next week. And we'll continue to watch for next week, seeing, what has to offer. Maybe if it's just severe weather, if it's flash flooding, we'll get into that. But we definitely will go on and take a look over at that as we get into the models. Now let's go and take a look at the crazy score. Crazy score right now, we are at a 77. 55 on the alerts tab and a 22 on the conditions tab. And honestly, it looks like that a good amount of us are receiving receiving rainfall, especially if you're in the low country, maybe some of the upstate areas. All regions right now is at least seeing some little bit of rainfall, especially in the low country areas. And so the main reason why the score is so high is because of the flash flood warning. We have a flash flood warning that's going on over inside of the that area in the low country right now, towards Yamasee and Early Branch and McPhersonville. And those areas have a flash flood warning. That adds 25 points. That adds 25 points to the scale there. We have the special weather statement that we talked about a bit ago, and the flood watches that are ongoing. All of that, including cloud cover. Cloud cover is added on. Charleston, right now, seeing showers and storms right now. Myrtle Beach, seeing some showers right now. or at least was seeing some near the coast. And then, the last report for Charleston also said showers and storms right now as well. So, overall, things are adding up, and those points add up real quick. They add up real quick. So let's go on now and take a look at the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Please make sure that you go in and pay attention to that, as that is very important to do so. We're going to start off here going into tonight, and just as we move over into tomorrow, this is 12 o'clock in the morning, more shower and storm activity tries to manipulate its way through into the Midlands according to the 3 o'clock p.m. update. But before we get to that, I want to check out and see what the 22Z has to say, actually, because this is the more up-to-date one. And you saw what 3 p.m. said. 3 p.m. said a good amount of shower and storm activity in the Midlands. Look at the 22Z. A complete change of pace. A complete change of pace here over inside of the Midland areas. As now we're just looking at, nothing barely anything at all. If we move to 12 o'clock in the morning, you don't see much going on in the Midland areas. You move further on into around 1, 2 to 3 a.m. Look at how dry it gets overnight. Look at how dry it gets. I mean, we may be talking about a portion where, somebody in the state will probably be receiving like a little shower, but most of us are going to be dry, if not receiving any rainfall at all. Now, as you go over to around 7 a.m., 8, 9, 10 a.m. or so, showers and storms are going to build up in the Midland areas, build up over towards the PD and the Grand Strand areas. And overall, things do get Things do get very active over there in the PD and the Grand Strand areas over there, to where I said that those areas would definitely start to get a taste tomorrow. Probably get their shot. Now, as we go back to the 18Z, real quick, we move through to around 1 p.m. and moving on forward into the future. Still shows the low country getting in on some good shower and storm activity as well. And then as we go into the evening hours, we're seeing some more shower and storm activity in the Midlands. The PD areas get a little bit, but the Midlands and the upstate, they get their little fair share as well. Again, gonna be hit or miss. There could be some areas in the Midlands, in the upstate, that may not see too much in terms of rainfall over the next, 40 hours plus. Even as we move into Sunday, the low country, Grand Strand, and the southern Midlands get hit once again with more beneficial rainfall. So this is really good, in my opinion, just due to the drought that we currently have. Didn't really change too much. We saw a little bit of a decretion up there inside of the upstate, like areas in northern Pickens County, northern Oconee County was in the D2. Now they're in the D1. So we did see some decretion from the drought up there, but overall, things relatively stayed the same. We want to see this, all of that red area, all the orange, all the yellow, all the tan. We want to see all of that gone, so that we're back to normal and we no longer need rainfall as badly as we need it now. So as we go on and take a look over into our actual totals and what we can potentially see as we move throughout the next 18 or so hours according to the HRRR. Right now, the HRRR is saying, a couple of spots can get up to around 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. Some areas more than that over the next 18 hours. But a lot of areas kind of just stay out as well. Look over here in parts of the northern Midlands. Look over here in the western upstate. Look in areas over here in the western CSRA areas, not getting any rainfall over the next 18 hours. And so if we look at the official forecast as well, from the Weather Prediction Center, we're going to move down over here towards the southeast. We're going to look at the Weather Prediction Center page, and this is over the next 24 hours. Obviously, they're going to have a bit more of an average consensus here, and not really showing the discrepancies in between each individual storm, because they look at a variety of models and kind of put it together in their own forecast. So what they do look at, and what you can see, is the forecasted precipitation totals. Now, like I said, this is based off of an average. This is based off of their forecast. And obviously, some areas that say, they could receive a half an inch may not receive any rainfall in general. It just matters on what the storms do. But it showed, areas like an inch for Columbia, 1.1, Myrtle Beach, over there in the Horry County area is getting the majority. And then over here in the Columbia area, maybe close to around a half an inch. But the upstate, not really getting too much over the next 24 hours. So what about the long-term future? So we're going to go past Sunday. We're going to go all the way into next week, Monday. And one thing that I want you to notice is that shower and storm activity is still going on. We're still seeing that shower and storm activity that, we see during the summer all the time where it pops up. Tuesday, same thing. Wednesday, though, comes along. Tuesday and Wednesday comes along, and there goes our severe weather threat over there inside of the, more like in the upstate around 11 p.m., the northern PD areas. And then moves into the PD areas by around 2 a.m. But you don't see a whole lot of convection with it. And so that, may kill the risk down here. If we don't see the convection, obviously we're not going to see the rainfall. We're not going to see the severity. And so we really are going to have to just continue to look and watch as we move into Tuesday and Wednesday, just in the future, to see if this severe, system, if it's even going to have the convection at all to push its way down to the state of South Carolina, or is it just a North Carolina threat? But you do see that there is some rainfall, and also it is, mentioned that this is a low resolution model. But as we move even into Wednesday, afternoon, going over into Thursday and Friday, things look a lot drier. We don't really see too much going on. We go into Saturday and Sunday of next weekend there. And then as we move into Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, going into the first, full week of August, we still see some rainfall, some showers, some storms maybe trying to go on. But overall, it's not too bad. Not too bad overall. Now, as we go on and see how much rainfall we could potentially receive over the next 380 hours or so, you see, according to the GEFS, maybe around 2 to 2.5, maybe even up to around 4.5 inches of rainfall over the next 300 hours or so, 300 to 8 or 380 hours or so. And what thing that we also do see is that eastern bias kind of sticks up again. 4 inches of rainfall over here in the PD areas, maybe 2 inches in the low country, 3 inches in like the Midlands, but watching the upstate, only 2.5, maybe even close to 2 inches in some spots. And then the European, same way, but the European has even less. Some areas not even in 2 inches, while some areas only get to around 1.95, 1.94 over the next 360 hours. But you move over there in the eastern part of the state of South Carolina, 3.5 inches, 3.6. You see 3.4 in the low country. You see 3.1 over there in Sumter. Now, precipitation, that's good. And we want to see the precipitation, we want to see the rainfall. Great. But what's one thing that we also like to go in and pay attention to? That is obviously, temperatures. And so let me move this out the way real quick. Temperatures is also a main factor as we move over into tonight, going into the future. And so watch as we have these cooler temperatures that continue to move their way throughout the state. Cold front just passed us going into yesterday. Yesterday. And so as we move into this weekend, we're still going to be seeing some warmer air trying to infiltrate its way through, but overall we stay cool. But watch Monday. Monday comes along and warmer air tries to come back, pretty hard. I mean, even if you go through to Tuesday, going over into Wednesday, we are hot. 10 to 15 degrees above average. We stay hot. And then we have a cold front that tries to move in going into Wednesday or so. And we start to cool down a little bit on Thursday, going into Friday. But as we go back into the weekend once again, things continue to try and, get back up to around the 5 to 10 degree mark. But cooler temperatures once again come in. And so that's what we were talking about yesterday. Last night. Are we talking about areas of cooler air would be trying to move their way into the state overall just in patterns. It's going to be a constant flip-flop of weather over the next 300 plus hours for when it comes to these temperatures and these cold fronts, because I've already seen it on some models earlier, like the European. The European showed a model to where you're having trough after trough after trough. That's going to bring, severe weather threats and flash flooding threats over and over. That's going to bring cooler, air after cooler air, after cold front, after cold front, after cold front coming in. And the more that you see those troughs dig down inside of the U.S., the more that you're going to see some more unsettled weather, some more cooler weather, and some more severe potential. And so GFS is not the only one saying this. The Euro is as well. And that could be our pattern as we move throughout the rest of July going into early August. Trough after trough after trough, bringing in severe weather, bringing in cooler air. Now, what's our actual temperature looking like as we move into Saturday tomorrow going into Sunday. We know it's going to be a bit cooler. Monday's going to bring in some more warmer air, though, but as you just move more and more into Tuesday, going over into Wednesday, you see how we're all the way up into the hundreds, all the way up. Even as we move into Wednesday, Thursday, we're up to around 98, back up to 100 on Friday. And so we're continuing to see those high temperatures reach up into summertime status as we move into like the first couple of days, maybe of August. But as we move into like, the more August the 1st, the August the 2nd, the August the 3rd time frame, another cool down could be happening. Another cold front could be trying to move through. And so that's just, the uncertainty for when it comes to these temperatures over the future. Now, in terms of heat index values, we know it's also going to be hot, up to around 105, 110 in some spots as we move throughout the next couple of days or so, moving into next week. And then even if we move further on into the future, you can see some instances of like 105 up to 106, 107 over into August. And then in terms of our actual temperatures on the ensemble metric, you see we're up to all the way to up around 93, 94, 95 on an average as we move into August. So that's another thing to watch for as we average out around 90 degrees or so as a high temperature. And that's pretty much all they have to say here in terms of the models here for tonight. The NHC, Bertha is done. The last advisory was 11 o'clock p.m. And so nothing is expected over the next 7 days here. Now, they're not, obviously with the Atlantic, not much. We know that the Pacific, they're having a bunch. The Pacific is going off with Fausto. I believe that's how you say that. Hurricane Fausto, 105 mile per hour winds. That's going to continue to move its way west. In Hawaii now is now under the gun for potentially a hurricane. Genevieve, Tropical Storm Genevieve is over there. That's going to turn into a major hurricane soon. And then you have another area of interest over here in the west that has another chance of forming that can move its way over and form over the next 7 days, a 70% chance. So it's likely. So, while the Atlantic's over here, nice, not really doing too much, the Pacific has, could have 3 storms going on at one time. So they have a lot going on over there in the Pacific. But that's all they have to say here in terms of the forecast, the main forecast for tonight. No earthquakes today. So we are going to go on and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. We're going to start off with my Aunt Lula first, who was here first. She says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. I pray that everyone had a wonderful day. Today's high was 90 degrees, currently it's 76. Today we are 0.89 inches of rainfall. Today we 0.89 inches of rain in which we needed. This cool down feels pretty good. Okay, so I'm thinking that you said that you got close to an inch of rainfall for today. This cool down feels pretty good. My Nana says, hello, Jane. Hello to you. Sort of nice day I had in spite of it all. We didn't get much rain. The man across the street is mowing his yard at the moment. Well, if there's a break and, it's not too wet, get it done. I can't really blame him. Can't really blame him at all. Then my Aunt Lewis says our local news stated that there is more rain on the horizon. Absolutely, we just saw it in the models not too long ago, especially as you move into tomorrow. And honestly, like I said, we were talking about Georgetown. Look at the storm that's moving towards your west. That's moving towards the east now. So that's something also to take into account. Garden really needed the rain. And then Trail says, greetings everyone, rainy Friday. Well, thank you so much for that weather report. Greetings to you. And then Mr. Michael says, hi Joseph, hopefully you enjoyed a wonderful day. Well, I did, thank you so much for that, and hopefully you did as well. Milo says, yes, that is what I meant. We did get 0.89 inches of rainfall. So, that's a good amount, honestly. I did not know that over there where you are, over there in Georgetown, y'all got that much rainfall. That's actually a pretty good amount. At my house, we only had 0.21 inches, so maybe the Grand Strand area did get a little bit more rainfall than I was anticipating. But that's all that I can see here in terms of the chat for tonight. If you want to type something, you need to be a subscriber, and, you still have time. So if you type something, over the next couple of minutes or so, I will read it. But it's time for the top fan question of the night for tonight. You might be asking, top fan question of the night, what is that? That means that I'm going to ask a question. If you get it correct, you'll be top fan of the night for tonight, seeing who was paying attention tonight. And so this go all the way from the beginning to now. And so the main question for tonight has to do with rainfall. In fact, there was a specific county that I mentioned, especially for when it went into the precipitation forecast, where I said that that county could potentially receive the most amount of rainfall over the next 24 hours, and even the National Weather Service, or the Weather Prediction Center, I should say, both of them are kind of in agreement with each other. So, what county was it that I said could potentially receive the most amount of rainfall over the next 24 hours? If you get that correct, I'll give you top fan of the night for tonight. That also says good evening, Joseph and the 360 Weather family. I trust all is well. All is well with me. But while we go on and wait for those answers to come in, we're going to talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking 4 areas. What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we go on to give them their forecast for them. So we're going to start off with San Antonio first. You have low temperatures tonight at 76, high temperatures for tomorrow at 95, low temperatures tomorrow night at 75, no precipitation over the next 7 days. It's going to continue to be hot, and you're going to be near 100 degrees even as you get into late next week. Now, in terms of severe weather, excessive rainfall, no risk of excessive rainfall for you over the next 5 days, so you are looking good. And then in terms of your severe weather risk, it also does look like that you are in the clear. So nothing really too much for you. Nothing too much for you. Let's see. Do we have any answers? We do. My Aunt Lewis says low country. No, I'm talking about a county. A county, not like an area like the low country or like the Midlands, the PD. I'm talking about a specific county like Greenville County, Spartanburg County, Marlborough County, or maybe even Lexington County. I'm talking about counties like that. Calhoun County? Nope, not the correct answer. Not the correct answer. We're gonna move over to Raleigh, North Carolina. You have low temperatures tonight at 69, high temperatures for tomorrow at 79, low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. Showers are likely tonight. Tomorrow, showers are expected, and then tomorrow night, no precipitation is expected. Severe weather, not in the equation over the next 3 days, but on Tuesday, you have a slight risk of severe weather. That is for a 15% risk of damaging storms. On Tuesday, make sure that you are paying attention there. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall for tomorrow, isolated flash flooding, and on Tuesday. So make sure that you are paying attention there for your weather. And then for your future, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to go up into the 90s. You will drop back down to the 80s as you move into maybe like Thursday and Friday of next week. But overall, those rain chances are kind of off and on as you move through tonight, tomorrow. Sunday, things calm down. But then Tuesday going into Wednesday, back up and running. See anything else? I see Yemassee County and I see Horry County. Well, one of those two is correct. One of those two is correct. We're gonna go over in that in just a moment. One of those two is correct. We'll go in and give the drum roll, but I want to do Philadelphia first real quick. For Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 66, high temperatures for tomorrow at 84, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 63. No precipitation tonight. As you move into tomorrow, though, no precipitation there either. And then as you move over into your risk of severe weather, no severe weather until Tuesday. Tuesday, a risk of severe storms there. 15% risk, and then as you move into excessive rainfall Tuesday, you also have a risk for some isolated flash flooding. Now, in terms of your future, it does look like that you will continue to stay pretty, in the 80s, not too bad at all. And then rain chances as you move throughout Saturday, Sunday, stay calm, but Monday going into Wednesday looks pretty active. And so let me go in and get a drum roll real quick and reveal the correct answer for tonight. It was indeed Horry County, and I do see the answer in there. I'm just gonna be honest. I see that did misspell it, but I know he means Horry County. There's obviously not a Horry County inside of South Carolina. And also the O and the U are pretty close. So I'm gonna give it to you, Thad, for tonight, because I do know what you mean. And I also see Lisa D over there did also guess, which I'm assuming that's how you pronounce your name. If that's not, I do apologize. It also say Horry County as well, so you did get it correct, but unfortunately was not quite as fast. Was not quite as fast. So Thad will win it for tonight, and let's go and give him a round of applause. And so that's all that I can see here. We'll go over honorable mentions in just a moment because we do have a couple of people to shout out there. We're going to talk about Duncan County, or Duncan, Oklahoma. Not county, I guess, because we were talking about counties. I'm thinking about counties. But we're going to talk about Duncan, Oklahoma, the final location. Low temperatures tonight at 78. High temperatures for tomorrow at 100. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 77. No precipitation overall tonight or tomorrow. You do have a heat advisory, though, for heat index values as high as 108 degrees as you move into tomorrow. And then just overall, you're going to stay hot. You're going to stay dry. Nothing else is changing for you. And that's all that I can see here in terms of the entire 4 areas out here. So let's see right now what is going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise, because we have a couple of things that right now that are going on. Number one, flash flooding threats threatens areas from the Tennessee Valley to the Carolinas as storms repeat along a stalled front. Monsoonal storms may also trigger flooding in the southwest, and dangerous heat will expand across the desert southwest, the plains, the mid-Mississippi Valley, and the southern tier. Critical fire weather for interior Pacific Northwest areas. Also, cooler, drier air bringing in relief into the Great Lakes and the Northeast. So there's a lot of things going on. Stalled front bringing us flash flooding down here throughout the south. We have monsoonal storms make trigger flooding in the west. Dangerous heat in the southwest going over into portions of the plains in the mid-Mississippi Valley and the central U.S. I mean, critical fire weather conditions over there for the Pacific Northwest, going over into Montana, going over down even into California, Nevada, and then just cooler, drier air going on up there in the Northeast. Every sector of the U.S. is receiving some sort of different type of weather, and so just a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on. Luckily, though, nothing going on in the tropics. You know, we do have obviously areas of flash flooding, though, as we move into tomorrow. You know, over there in areas of the Four Corners area, over in Arkansas, you know, they have a risk. Severe weather, we know that we do have a risk of severe weather for a couple of areas, like, for example, tomorrow, chance of severe weather over there for, like, Tucson, Arizona, Minneapolis, going over into Madison, Wisconsin on day 3, which is Sunday, up there in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern Iowa. And then day 4, that's Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, Milwaukee. They have a chance of severe weather on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Charlotte, Washington, D.C., and Virginia Beach all have a risk of severe weather on Tuesday. So there's a lot of things going on. Here. And so we're going to go on and, you know, if you know anybody in those areas, let them know. Severe weather, you know, whatever type of weather that you heard from me in their area, let them know that is going to happen soon. And that's all they have to say here for tonight. Let me see if we have anything else outside the chat. Just a bunch of congratulations. And then honorable mentions, my Nana was on there, and then also my Aunt Lula were honorable mentions for tonight. So let's go on and give them two a round of applause for being honorable mentions for tonight. And that's all that I have. So I will be back tomorrow morning for your Saturday morning forecast update. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Friday evening, and I will be back then tomorrow evening as well, Saturday evening forecast update, as we will continue to talk about this flood threat and next week's threat for severe weather and excessive rainfall that could potentially impact us. And then Sunday evening, that's the last week of July's forecast update, so the last week. This is the last full week, but next week, obviously the new month starts on a Saturday, August does, so we'll be back then as well for that August forecast update in about a week. But that's all. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. We're at 782, trying to get to that main goal of 800. 18 away, that's it. just 18 subscribers away. And then also make sure you check out my website, scweather360.com, for the live crazy score for the, obviously all the warnings that you need, flooding, events, threats. And then also you can submit a photo to me at scweather360.com as well. I'll be back tomorrow. Hit those two buttons before you leave if you're new.